a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, his name is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I am doing good, and I'm pleased to announce our new partnership again here on the Weekly Scramble podcast and Garage Logic with our buddies from We Are Nuts. And Michael Burt is here in studio with us. Hello, Michael.
Hello, guys.
So you are the second generation. How do you? Because I know you refer to your dad, the founder of We Are Nuts, as Mr. Big Nuts.
Mr. Big Nuts.
Okay. So are you little Big Nuts? How do we phrase that?
Yeah, we leave that one in his court. Because we just keep saying, hey, Dad, we as a company, a small company, have to have an HR policy. And so you just stay in your lane and you let us try to stay out of trouble.
He's the reason you need an HR policy.
He's exactly always but isn't everybody's dad?
That's exactly what my dad was too. I'm like, you can't say that.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
What a cute girl that we got working. You can't say that. You can't say that.
You can't hug everybody all the time.
So I had the opportunity, about a week ago, a little more than a week ago, to tour your new facility over there in Northeast Minneapolis.
Yeah, right on the river.
Man,
great spot.
I got to tell you guys, I had said this on both of my ads, and I mentioned this to Joe and the crew on Garage Logic. What an impressive setup you have. And again, I walked into it not really knowing what to expect, right? Yeah. But what an impressive setup that you guys have. And I'm going to tell you something. Mm-hmm. Watching the product being roasted and made on site, I don't know why, it was so cool. Yeah. It was just guy stuff. It's gears turning. It's just guy stuff. It was cool.
It's making stuff, right? So you're armed with a 30,000 square foot standalone warehouse, Willy Wonka facility, and it's it's old and it's personality and it's brick and it's room by room, and there's a candy making room, there's a nut roasting room, there's a nut butter room, and everybody's just like dirty, working on old machines, just grinding it out and making things 100 pounds at a time, and it's just real. It's just real all the way through from how the humans that we source these cashews from in Vietnam, all the way through the food chain of the truck drivers that drive it to our door, and then humans roasting it, packing it, and then getting it out. It's a cool scene. And people always ask to come walk through, and it's like, it's not a Krispy Kreme retail donut farm. It's not,
we're not at Subway, right?
Not there. Right. Yeah, right. It is, but I lose track of, do you take it for granted that making things and using your hands is legit? And so it was always good to see it through other guys' eyes.
Yeah, super validating, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it validates the quality of the product. Would you call that small batch manufacturing when you're doing 100 pounds? That's not a crazy amount, right?
It's not efficient.
Sure.
It's not as efficient as what we got going to compete, on price against the Davids of the world as us little Goliath, but vice versa. We're the David against the Goliath. But yeah, I mean, it is. It validates not only for me, my dad, my brothers, that, we obsess and grind on this thing night in, night out, running a company, but the employees that are there showing up 6 a.m., working 10-hour shifts, just, pouring their sweat and tears into it, knowing that...
Not technically into it.
No, technically put in the bag. But, it's the game of... I don't care whether you run a restaurant or whatever it is. It's a game of first impressions. Mm-hmm. And if that first bite of something, first consumer experience isn't a good one, then they're not going to come back. And we want to create a habit for people. So
I got to tell you, too, because, Mike, you'll love this. So as we walked through the facility, and I sent Mike the video, and I forget the employee's name that was wheeling out the pallet, but he couldn't have been cooler. I said, wait, that's the first pallet going to Fratelloni's. I got to take a video of this. And so I sent the video to Mike. But what was cool, but they were already starting their Christmas catalog stuff, because I got to imagine gifts and things like that are just flying off the shelves.
Oh my God. I mean, the amount of company gifts we do, we call them our Christmas cashews. So I mean, these big old, that's why Dad was Mr. Big Nuts, because he takes pride in getting the biggest cashews we can in the world. Yep. And so these Christmas cashews, for people that know it, have become like a thing. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing better than getting a big gift tin of Christmas cashews delivered to your company over the holidays.
Because one of the things I wanted to mention or ask you about, because you've already mentioned the relationship that you, how do you start a relationship with a nut farm in Vietnam? How does that even seriously?
That's a real good question.
I was
looking for a girlfriend.
Well,
like, hey, I'm heading to Vietnam.
I was floored by that part of the tour, and because I saw where they were getting ready, Mike, for how many thousands of pounds of cashews that were coming in. I'm thinking, how do you even start that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to how Dad made this. Our logo and company name up, We Are Nuts, at our kitchen table when I was 6. I mean, he's good to people everywhere in his life. You get introduced to somebody, you massage that relationship, you meet someone else, and if you're in it long enough, the cream rises to the top in terms of people that take care of each other. It's not a quick trick, and so just relationship driven. And then for us, one of our biggest thing is finding a good relationship that was more or less sustainably sourced. What I mean by that is, at least nut farming is a dirty business, can be a dirty business, because a lot of it comes internationally, because nuts are, different nut varieties are grown internationally. And so trying to get with someone that holds our family values, our, Catholic values about how we're sourcing and what we're bringing in, and then the people that are then treated making that product. And so, you kind of can take a stance on that one way or the other, and we just chose to take the stance we did, and it's paid off.
So you're like roughly my age, something like that. And so I know I had this existential crisis when I was graduating from high school, right? I went to Roseville, you went to CDH.
Yep.
Cretan, and when, you went, it was Cretan then, sorry, right?
Or, I wasn't. I shouldn't say that out loud. I'm going to get in trouble.
Okay,
CDH.
It was CDH. Okay. So I knew that I was going to go work for my dad.
Yeah.
I avoided it for as long as I possibly could. I love my dad, right? But I just didn't know. Did you have that? When you were sitting there in algebra class in 11th grade, did you say, why? I'm going to sell nuts. Like, I know what I'm going to go do. Or did you have an interim career between those?
Yeah, I think I did. The short answer is yes, I did. At that time, it wasn't a sexy business. We weren't out at the state fair. We weren't out in retail stores. No one really knew who we were. Our friends didn't. Our family didn't. And so, my kids maybe look at it a little bit differently. And as I drag them out to the fair to teach them a work ethic and say, this is how you're going to learn. This is how I learned. I just learned in a warehouse the dirty way. I'd say that when I did decide to work with them after college, it didn't go well. And we just beat heads. I was
which is not uncommon.
Arrogant 20-year-old kid, didn't know. And, he was an arrogant dad of 3 boys. And so, thank God for the University of St. Thomas. I don't know if you guys know this. It's cool. They have the only undergraduate major in family business in the country, because there's such a strong family business culture in Minnesota, obviously, some of the massive ones. So as a result, they have a program, and family businesses go there once a month, and we all sit in a room, 200, 300 people, and listen to a panel about family business topics. And you think as a family business, you think as a business owner, you think of, as anybody, you're alone in this. And then you think, oh, my problems are unique to me. I don't care whether it's a husband or a dad. And then you sit and you therapeutize or whatever it is with others that are doing it. And you're just like, oh, you have those problems? Except they're fourth generation problems. That's super messy. Thank God we're just second gen at this point.
Yeah, sometimes those fourth generations have 15 more owners that have never walked into the building. Yes. You're like, oh, that's way harder.
Yes,
right?
And tough spouses and kids, and it's
divorces,
messy.
Dementia, drug use. Yeah, all
my 2 brothers and I, it's 3 boys. We all work in the company every day. We all have my dad's work ethic, my grandpa's work ethic, and so. It's different when you all are rolled up your sleeves and hustling. So that's what we're doing.
I want to get to the reason why we're having you on with our partnership for Back to the 50s tomorrow, but you mentioned your grandpa.
Yeah.
Mike, I heard this story before you got here today, but tell us a story about your grandpa.
Yeah, when we were talking cars, right?
Yep.
And so we were kind of sharing who's the cars guys, and it sounds like Joe's a big car guy. My dad's a big car guy, and that evolved from my grandpa, who so my dad's one of 10 out of St. Louis Park, Benilde and St. Margaret's family. That was before they were merged.
Sure.
And so my grandpa went to work. He played college football for Michigan, and then he became a police officer, Minneapolis sheriff. And like 6 months into the job, they're in a car chase, and he gets shot between through the front fender into his knee. And he was a prideful athlete. but more prideful than that, he went home to my grandma, who's a tough cookie, and she said, "Jim, you're done. You're done being a cop. We just had our maybe second kid. You're done." And so he then went to work selling cars and went to work selling Lincolns, and sold Lincolns his entire life for 50 years. Sold it all the Vikings, everybody in town when it was the good old days of car selling, of relationships, and you sell one car and then you sell that person that Lincoln for the next 20 years. And so, my grandpa grew up on Planters peanuts, and we always said, "Grandpa, come on, there's a better way to snack than those Planters peanuts. It's chock full of shit, and they're not even good tasting in the first place. Come on, try our We Are Nuts." And so, we eventually got him going on that, but as a result, my dad bring down cars.
Eat your nut?
He got around,
He came around.
He came around when we give him the cashews for free.
I was going to say, did you make him buy them? He's like, I'm not buying them until they give them to me for free.
Right.
He must have been a tough cookie to not eat his kid's own business's nuts.
But one of his most prideful days was hopping to my dad's 63 split window Corvette and getting in line on Snelling, because right where we grew up, and we'd always come down and hear the cars, and then driving down that parade into the show. Yeah, it was good.
So the show means Back to the 50s means more to you than just having a booth at Back to the 50s.
Yeah, yes, it is a gift and a blessing to be down there. We have such a unique experience down at the Back to the 50s, being in the ladies showcase building up on the north end, which is fully air conditioned, full brand new bathrooms for everybody looking for some relief this weekend.
Sure. Air conditioned relief.
Yeah. So it's a great show, because you're right. It's one of the things, just like the state fair, that you grow up doing here in St. Paul as a Minnesotan, and we get to now kind of live behind the scenes and see it a different way.
Sure.
Yeah, it's good.
That is cool, because I know for me, I'm not really a car guy. I mean, I am only because of the crew that I work with in GL. So we've done Back to the 50s. A ton of times, right? But once you get there, you realize just how important that is for you'll see a guy sitting in a lawn chair next to whatever his vehicle is, right? And you're thinking, that guy has spent the vast majority of his free time working on that vehicle.
100%.
And that it's cool, because for me, I don't do that, but I have such an appreciation for the guy that does do that. And because you were talking to your dad before you came on with us about his collection of cars that he's got, and I just think that's cool.
Yeah. Is your dad going to drive something down?
He's not. He's out of town this year.
He's not going to bring something cool? Okay.
No. And he won't trust you to...
Oh, my God.
You go Ferris Bueller
pick up one of those cars.
So he ended up buying a 2000 Ferrari 360 Modena. I think I said that right. Modena. And I drove that thing once, because I got on the paddles.
Sure.
And I took off down that ramp getting onto 8 Mill. And he was like, "Okay, son, we're done.
Yeah, okay,
we're
stop.
done. Let's drive her back in."
How old were you?
I must have been 25, which was like, I was testosterone raging.
Yeah, they should maybe not let kids drive those.
Right.
You're still a kid at 25.
Right.
So what is your guys' role with the event itself?
Yeah, so we've got a booth up, like I said, in the brand new north building on the north end of the fair, as part of the Ladies Showcase. So the Ladies Showcase, it's such a cool kind of side cultural organization of the show, of all, I guess the ladies of the car industry,
sure,
that come together in a lot of ways. There's programming around that, and they have a bunch of more, I'd say, arts and crafts boutiques kind of things, but their big thing every morning is they hand out these custom one-of-a-kind bags to the first 5,000 people up at the north end.
Oh, wow.
So there's a line as far as you can see, and they come through all the booths. So we've just had a ton of success there because we have such a great snack that lends itself perfectly for the ladies to pick up for themselves. They kind of pick up their flavors, and then they bring it back to the boys on the lawn chairs sitting at the cars.
So you will be busy. You'll sell a bunch of stuff there.
Oh, my God. You saw my trailer out in the lot.
Yeah.
I packed that thing as full as I could.
Oh, really?
Get.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then
our toffee nuts, our maple bourbon nuts, there's no shortage of things that people are going to be snacking
I'm sure
on.
after you sell somebody 30 containers full of things, you're going to say, oh, by the way, go to Fratelloni's next week. After Back to the 50s is over, and you bought them all for me, go to Fratelloni's, because Fratelloni's you know this, Reavers. We've talked about this during their ads, but Fratelloni's has been a We Are Nuts company for a very long time. Years, right?
Yeah,
but I always ate the product, right? I always one thing about We Are Nuts, and I should let you do this, but I'm going to pick it. I'm going to say it comes in a really neat container that fits in your cup holder perfectly in your car, and then the cap kind of works as a de facto cup, right? So you can kind of put some in the cup. It just works out really well. So I've always been eating these, but we've always done well with the product, but now we're putting in these big end caps at our stores, and sales are just starting to skyrocket. I know, Reavers, you're going to say, because you're advertising in Garage Logic, right? But it's just starting to skyrocket. So something's right about the product. I think it really resonates. Before they even taste it, the packaging resonates with people.
It does.
And then when they taste it, they're like, I get it, right? It's a different nut.
Fits right in a cup holder, so perfect for like grabbing for fishing. Fits right in your cup holder in your boat, golf course, right? I mean, as someone that golfs, shout out to Joe, you take the turn and what are your options? You get a Snickers bar and a Gatorade, right? Maybe you're feeling light and you're going to get a Cliff Bar. But if you get this snack of nuts, it's just like the perfect golf companion,
And also, I think the fact, and not that I need to tell either one of you two this, but from just a marketing standpoint in general, just being Minnesota made. Is massive. I mean, because I find myself doing that because, do I have product A or product B? If product A is made in Minnesota, that's the one I'm going to pick, right? Because you want to support local.
Which is so great.
What year did Maurer graduate from Cretin-Derham Hall?
A year behind me, 2001.
Yeah. So I know when I take my kids to CDH, because my kids go to CDH, and I walk into the Joe Maurer Arena, I think, why don't we have a We Are Nuts stadium someplace?
You hear that, Joe?
Yeah. No, not Joe. I'm talking to you. Like, we need a We Are Nuts stadium at CDH. I mean, I know the fine people at CDH would be glad to take some We Are Nut money, right? I think that would be pretty damn cool.
Don't you like his ideas?
Nothing would be...
I feel like Tony Leesman would be calling me tomorrow.
Yeah, somebody's going to call you. Or since you're a St. Tom alum, those guys at St. Thomas really know how to pull money out of people. So they'll get you to the Premier Club or whatever, and you'll be spending nuts money all day long.
There you go.
And wouldn't that be... Reavers, I'm very lucky, right? I'm very lucky with my business. I'm super lucky. But if I had nut money, I mean, that's a whole different level.
You know
of
how
money.
much it costs to compete against Planters, Blue Diamond, and Fishers?
I mean, I do. You don't even compete. You're a totally different thing.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, you are a totally different nut.
We want to be the Surly, right? Versus a Bud and Coors.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, still
that's really interesting. You're right. Yeah.
Still scalable, still national for what we do because of how we do it, and yet, born here.
Yeah. It's unique.
It's unique. Yeah, and better.
Sorry,
I mean,
it is better.
No, it is better.
Period.
It is better.
They just can't do what you do.
Yeah,
right.
That's it.
For a $4.99 cup of nuts or whatever they sell for, right? What they're doing is just not the same thing.
No,
it's day and night different.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so one of the things I also wanted to ask you about is, and I did not know this. So having, let's see, what year am I now into broadcasting? 20 something or other. I had no idea you guys were at the state fair.
Oh, yeah.
How long has that been for you guys? And let's walk through, because Mike and I do our show at the fair, twice a year.
Yeah.
Every year since for the last 12 years we've been doing our show out there. What is that process like? Well, where are you guys located, and what is that process from the beginning of the fair to the end of the fair?
I mean, it's a marathon and a sprint at the same time. It's one of those things. My dad and I are gluttons for punishment. If my two younger brothers had their way, we may not be at the state fair. They this year were like, "Hey, we're done. We're out."
Yeah, it's too tiring.
It's just too tiring. Yeah. It grinds. You're terrible coming home as a dad, as a husband. My dad and I we're people, and so we just thrive off of the energy of the fair. And so, it is a 12-day. So yeah, we're out on the West End, which is a great spot to be.
The newer area for sure. Yeah.
Because Lola's is fun.
Yes.
You got the Blue Barn. We're right where the buses come in.
Oh, wow.
You got the Shells Amphitheater, which is so clean and nice, and they got such awesome acts every night. You can hear the grandstand at night. And so we just got a beautiful booth, a big fun booth, and my dad's out there taking pictures at our big We Are Nuts sign. Everybody's getting their Christmas photo in a big front of a We Are Nuts sign to show that their family's nuts. And
that's cool.
That is fun,
and it's just it's a beast. Every year it just kind of compounds on itself, and it's just good to see people.
You want me to destroy it for him? You ready? I'm going to give him the world's best idea.
Okay.
You need to take the original toffee peanut or one of the almonds and deep fry that sucker with a little bit of batter.
Put it on a stick.
Put it on a stick. It's going to be twice as hard as what you're doing, but people are going to love it. Your dad's going to take that idea and say, you know what? We should deep fry some nuts.
I heard Fratelloni say that on the show.
Let's try that. And then you're going to come back all greasy after a day of work, and you're like, I'm done.
But I'll be honest, we joke, but I'm always looking for, because listen, when we're doing 500 shows out there during I want something different.
Yeah, right.
Because I can only eat so much deep fried ravioli before my gut says, Uncle, I'm done here.
Yeah, and especially when you're trying to match that with drinking beers and kind of
peace
through the day. I mean, you need something that's not going to just bury you. So this year, I to the kind of the deep fried point, I took on the pickle.
Okay.
Just because, there's a couple favorites in the fair, and it's the pickle or the deep fried.
What'd you think?
I'm making pickle peanuts right now.
Shut up.
And I'm about 3 or 4 rounds through of this idea and R&D, working with a local spice company called Here's the Deal Spice. Great spice guys. If you're ever looking for awesome spices, try those guys out. But they're concocting some different spice variants. It is a tough animal to crack on getting a good pickle flavor.
Sure, and you're going for a dill pickle flavor?
Going for a dill pickle flavor.
Okay.
And so my latest idea that came to me after trial yesterday, as I'm sitting in there kind of grinding through it with my best candy maker and my plant manager, is I think I'm going to have to resort to using pickle juice. I'm going to have to infuse pickle juice into one of the layers of our toffee nuts.
Oh, into the layer.
So it's coming. It's in the blue book.
Okay.
So everybody grab that coupon because we're practically giving it away in that blue book. But
so when you develop something like that, a little behind the scenes of the state fair, do you have to go to the state fair and say, hey, we want to add something to our...
Oh, God, yeah.
Everything has to be... And if I'm not mistaken...
Because they don't want to conflict someone else out.
Okay. So you have to get it approved.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to make enough for the state fair to cover the state fair no matter what, right?
Yeah.
You can't have... Your last day has to be the exact same as your first day.
With the blue book.
That's
the blue
book.
Good call out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of, you got to be careful with the wish for on the blue book, because if you get in, I mean, there are thousands of people that shop on that blue book.
Okay.
They will walk around the fair with that blue book.
And just go from booth to booth to booth.
Yeah, because, I mean, it saves real money.
Sure,
Because you as a vendor, you have to discount something at least 30%.
Okay.
Now, to be competitive and get in, because it's so damn competitive getting that blue book, you really got to sharpen your pencil. Probably get closer to 50% off.
Holy cow.
I mean, you're giving it away.
Yeah.
But it's engagement and it's trial and all the things, and it's just fun. And so I keep telling Dad, hey, Dad, we're dressing you up as a pickle this year. You're going to be running around looking like a pickle. Sorry to say it, but
sounds like he's the kind of guy who'll do it. Yeah.
So you've got me curious now. So the whole dill pickle factor coming up with different seasoning, and not to bring up a competitor by any means, but is it almost like taking a page out of what the sunflower seed industry has done? Because, in our family, baseball season, we go through a lot of sunflower seeds, and some of the creations they've come up with, I'm like, just give me a regular seed.
Totally.
Or I'll even settle for kettle roast. Right? But just give me a regular sunflower seed.
I mean, kudos to our buddies down at Smackin' Seeds. I don't know if you had Smackin' Seeds.
Oh, man.
Another great Minnesota story, and just two good dudes. You should have them on. But yeah, those guys, whether it's the Old Dutch, the local Minnesota Old Dutch company and Stephanie and all their pickles. I mean, pickles are a thing. And when we go to these national retailers and they're looking for, retailers are looking for what's hot, right?
Sure.
So it's the hot honey craze. That's still going. It's the pickle. I mean, no matter what, the data shows people are still buying pickle. And then you get a little bit of the flash of the pan things, whether, Dubai chocolate.
I was going to say, when is Dubai chocolate going to hit?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of play that line of, not selling out totally. Last year I did make a pumpkin spice. I swore I'd never make a pumpkin spice, but we did a pumpkin spice. It actually turned out pretty damn good.
I was going to say, how did it do?
It turned out
Sounds
pretty
good, actually.
I actually don't. I'm not going to hate that. I don't mind it.
One big national retailer picked it up and had a lot of success with it. So that was fun. So it's doing that, but then staying true to like our maple bourbon almonds. I mean, you guys know those are just like classically.
Yeah,
awesome.
Reaver's got a can of them. He was, I ate them all in one day, and I was like, well, that was a mistake. That might be too many to eat in one day.
Yeah. Don't tell me what to do.
Like, just do it on 2 rides to work, not one ride to work.
A good product state fair story is our hot nuts.
Oh yeah.
So
they're hot too.
They're like the perfect amount of hot, right? So they don't kill you.
No, but you feel them.
They let you know what's going on,
Yep,
and they're great for the breweries, our brewery customers, because you drink a couple extra sips just to get through it. So I actually made those for the Minnesota Twins. So when Minnesota Twins out in left field, they built like a local market.
Oh yeah.
So our good friend Kieran Folliard that runs Kieran's and then built Two Gingers Whiskey. he had a booth down there. He was making food. We got brought in to sell our nuts down there. And so I wanted a hot thing for all the vendors down there that are selling beer. And so I made the hot nuts, and I went in front of the Twins committee, and they're like, too hot. We need to tone up Minnesotan down.
Yeah.
And so now, that's, whatever. It's fine.
Sure.
So now you go out to the fair, and fair people will let you know what they think about your things. And so now you give it, and, hot people are confident, arrogant people about their heat. And so the amount of Minnesota heat jokes that we get on those hot nuts is unbelievable.
They're making fun of us because it's that's not hot.
Let's get your ketchup thing. You Minnesotans don't know it. We come to the fair expecting hot, because they're from the South.
So you're basically describing me, where ketchup is a spice to me, for sure.
Thank God you're not making barbecue, because then it's really bad. You don't even know barbecue.
Okay, so you guys are the presenting sponsor for Garage Logic at Back to the 50s, and remind the listener again where they can locate you guys at Back to the 50s.
So come find us on the north end. I think that's up Machinery Hill, right? Up in the north end. You'll see it on the map. It'll be called the MSRA Ladies Market. Like I said, air conditioning, brand new.
I was going to say the weather. It's going to be warm,
relief.
But it's going to be a great day.
And find us. You'll see us right in the door, right in the corner. We've got all of our best people down there, myself included. So would love to see you.
Awesome, Michael. Thanks for coming in, man. This was a lot of fun.
Guys, thanks for letting me tell some of the story.
And if you want to find out more information, just visit their website, wearenutsmn.com. And it doesn't matter where you're located. They'll service anybody anywhere.
We'll ship it to your house.
It doesn't matter. Michael, thanks, man. This was a treat.
Appreciate you guys.
Again, We Are Nuts MN. All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right. That was a fun conversation. See, I always love meeting the clients, obviously, because this is a client-driven business that we work in. But what a cool dude! I really like Michael. He's a really good guy.
It's funny because with their partnership with Garage Logic, with their partnership with Fratelloni's, right? They're in all of our stores, and it's weird because I really want this to be super successful.
Yeah.
Because I really like Michael.
Yeah.
And the product, we're already successful with the product. Fratelloni's has sold a lot of it for years, right? But now we're putting up these huge end caps. We're putting candies in because they sell nuts, candies, popcorn. They sell more than just nuts. We didn't even make that clear. And so it's like, okay, this is going to work no matter what. And it already has. We have one store that has the end cap up, and it's killing it in 4 days. So
that's awesome.
It was pretty
cool. That's so cool.
But we're missing a huge celebration, Reavers.
Okay.
It's Juneteenth.
Yes, it is.
So I'm embarrassed to say this. And I don't know, maybe I'm not the only one. I kind of knew what Juneteenth was, right?
Yep.
But I really didn't overly know it. So I did some research, and I am going to read a little bit about Juneteenth, just in case other people. Are you all right with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
You can actually see that my 9 years of college has created a man who has really no ability to read whatsoever. So you'll be impressed. Usually I have you do this because you're such a smooth reader. But Juneteenth commemorates the day in 1865 when Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, right? It was 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was declared.
Mm-hmm.
The slaves did not know that slavery was over. They had to be slaves for 2 additional years because it took that long for a general to get there and tell everyone that, hey, we've emancipated all slaves, right? So I find that just very interesting. So Juneteenth is a triumph of American ideals, not a condemnation of them. It proves that the Constitution, although imperfect, Reavers, contains the tools to right our wrongs. And when you think about it, we are the only country that fought a war to abolish slavery, then amend our founding documents to ensure liberty for all. We're the only country that's ever done that, right? Here's what I find interesting. Many of our listeners, viewers and listeners of this show, we are conservative, right? We fall on the right side. I'm middle. Sure. Some people are more right than me. Some people are less right than me. But you did this. Conservatives did this. Republicans did this. Republicans emancipated the slaves, right? Conservatives did. And I want to make this our celebration, right? I want to have our side, the right side, right as in directionally right, the conservative side, take this Juneteenth as a mark of huge pride for us. We did something very difficult. We fought wars, brothers killed brothers, right? And we did it because it was right. And I want to make sure, selfishly, that the right gets some credit for this, right? And I also want to celebrate Juneteenth walking hand in hand with the people we emancipated, right? We did this for them because we knew it wasn't right to bond a human, right? It wasn't right to do that. You can't own humans. And the right understood that. Conservatives and Republicans understood that, and we did it. I am here today to state that I think Juneteenth should be a world celebration. Not every country did what we did. Slavery is still happening in other countries as we speak today. Even caste systems in India, which I think are tantamount to slavery, happen today. So I think as conservatives and as Republicans, we should stand up and have a ton of pride in Juneteenth, a ton of pride. So I think I was kind of surprised. I went to my bank today. My bank's closed, right? I'm like, oh, shoot. Like I didn't get really why it's so important. So if I were to have a hotline, and I know President Trump probably doesn't listen to this.
I'm going to guess
he may
not.
or may not hear. I'm
Yep.
going to let's make sure we do at President Trump, right, when we post this on YouTube, because I think he should make this even a bigger celebration next year, because we get to celebrate with those we released from bondage, and we get to celebrate hand in hand with everybody that we released collectively. And I think it would be great for America and great for the world to celebrate this.
I don't disagree with anything you just said.
Yeah.
I don't.
It seems like if we can't get behind this holiday, what holidays can we get behind? Right?
Well, I guess the only thing I'm not even going to either disagree or push back on. I guess the only thing that I tend to just object to collectively with everything is how instantaneously we have to assign a political designation to any topic. And I'm not just citing that, but I guess I've always been a bit more standoffish. Like, well, let's just either hear the whole story, or why do we automatically have, you know what I'm saying? So
if you went and asked 100 17-year-old kids who freed the slaves,
sure,
what do you think 100 of them say? Democrats.
Probably, yeah.
95% of them say Democrats, and they didn't. Democrats did not do that, right? I'm not saying Democrats are racist. That's not what I'm saying.
Sure.
But Republicans don't get credit for it. Republicans don't get credit for the fight that we put in to emancipate the slaves. So I think the powers that be in our right-sided party, the Conservative Party, should say, hey, let's take Juneteenth and let's really celebrate this. Let's show the people that we released from bondage, their kin benefit from being on the right side. And I think they do.
But at the same time, you could also make the argument that, you know, the Republican Party of 1865 is not the Republican Party of 2025, and the Democratic Party, you know what I'm saying? So
sure.
I get that, you know, everything has an evolution and everything has a change and everything. And again, you know, Joe's thing is always, well, Kennedy was a rock rib Republican by 100%. Today's standards.
The Republican Party is the 1965 Democratic Party right now, right?
Yeah.
But still, don't ruin this.
No, I'm not trying to.
Don't ruin it.
I'm not trying to.
Because we did it.
Sure.
And this would be a great thing to bond with people that are different than us and say, hey, this is a great celebration. Thank God this happened. Oh, and by the way, we're conservatives. Come with us. We love you. Congratulations. That kind of thing. I just want to feel better about this world. I did doing some show prep for the show.
Sure.
I got together and I looked at the bunker busting bombs, right? When they're talking about
bunker busting bombs.
The bunker busting bombs. So there's that one nuclear facility still in Iran that we can't get into because it's built into the mountain.
Sure.
Right? And some magical way, we're contemplating whether we should give Israel the ability to drop one of these bunker-busting bombs on this nuclear facility in Iran, right? It's kind of a big deal. This bomb, let me give you a couple of the finer points of it, right? Because I find this truly fascinating. It is 30,000 pounds. It's called an MOP. It's a GBU 57A MOB. MOB stands for Massive Ordnance Penetrator. Right? It weighs 30,000 pounds. It can penetrate on standard earth with nothing blocking it, standard earth, 200 feet into the ground.
Wow.
So you drop this, it penetrates 200 feet into the ground. If it's concrete, it will go through 60 feet of concrete, then explode, right? It's very neat. It is the only thing we have to carry this thing is a B-2 Spirit bomber. That's it. That's the only thing that carries it. Israel doesn't have B-2 Spirit bombers. So then the United States would have to step into the aggression that's happening in Iran right now, right?
But isn't that inviting an entirely different set of...
It's a totally different thing, right?
I mean, we're talking World War III then at that point.
I think what we're really talking about is preventing World War III, potentially.
But the second we become involved...
I get that. But if Iran had a nuclear weapon, right? See, what I hate about this is the Iranian people are probably pretty kind. They're probably pretty normal. They're under this nutcase Khomeini, right? This nutcase who subjugates women, that makes people fear if you smile at a woman and she's not covered up, she can be cut in half. I'm making that up, right? It's not what Iran used to be in the 70s, right? We had this total ideologue go in and destroyed that country. I don't want to kill those people. I don't want to kill anybody. I do want to stop them from having nuclear weapons. I think that might be in our best interest. The reason why I think we shouldn't allow them to have nuclear weapons is they constantly say death to America and death to Israel. When do you believe someone? At what point do you believe them?
When are they not bluffing anymore?
Yeah,
is what you're trying to say.
I mean, is that a bluff? Is that a bluff? I mean, it seems like a weird bluff.
Well, I think I've been very clear with. I got to a point a while ago where I don't trust anybody.
I trust anybody
with anything.
But if it may be a bluff, but you couldn't be wrong to believe them. If someone's saying death to America, we have nuclear weapons. Death to America, we have nuclear weapons. Iran's going to be, or Israel's going to be wiped off the face of the earth the moment we get nuclear weapons. Why would you let them have nuclear weapons?
Yeah.
Maybe I am just too foolish to understand the ramifications of all this. And I'm not saying that America should let them use one of these $15 million bunker buster bombs. These are $15 million, by the way.
Wow.
Not free, right? You don't want to go drop a bunch of them, right?
No, one's enough.
You want to do one, but it's got to work, right? It's got to work. And I'm wondering at what point in time in this conflict, we're recording this on Thursday at like 3:00. What time is America going to say, that's it, we're done talking to you, Iran.
Negotiations are
we're
now
done.
Off, yeah.
And I guess they're coming back to the table now. But when they come back to the table is you can't have nuclear weapons. Period. F around and find out.
Well,
right?
I guess I'll repeat what I had said earlier on the Garage Logic podcast, but I think it's worth repeating because not knowing that you were going to bring this up. But I think what we really need, and I got a lot of this information because of my thorough research with the movie Top Gun Maverick.
Oh yeah.
What we need is Mav and his ensemble of three fellow fighter pilots to drop 2 precision bombs on a low level.
Sure.
And then that will obviously we'll be free of all of this.
But how's he going to
nonsense.
pull out in time?
Well, but see, that's the thing. At 10 Gs, you really have to fight through. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, I mean, I see you're being humorous, right?
Trying to.
And it is. I'll go on record. Go ahead and spend $15 million. If I can have Iran not have nuclear weapons, I think if I can have any other additional country not have nuclear weapons, I don't care anybody new. If I can have anybody new not get nuclear weapons, I'd be glad to spend America's wealth of $15 million.
Sure.
Right? That seems fair.
Sure.
Don't want to kill people. Tell them. Send them a message beforehand because the Israelis are doing that. Hey, get out of the way. We're going to drop some bombs here. Right? Stand down. Stand out of the way. Scoot out of town. Right? And they do that as a kind gesture. But boy, I don't know, Reavers. I know I have a wedding to go to pretty soon.
Oh.
In Paris. My brother's getting married. Right? And at the reception, I'm going to raise my glass of champagne and I'm going to say eggs, cinnamon, bread, and maple syrup. It's a French toast. I mean, not great. That was from Frat Pack member Heidi Michelle, 2502.
So now the dad jokes are being submitted by the listeners.
I really think it's kind of great.
It's catching on, isn't it?
Okay. If you have kids in the room, shut the show off. Right? We're wrapping up the show anyways.
Okay.
But when we had Michael from We Are Nuts in here, I wanted to tell my nuts joke, right? So a guy, I see a guy dipping his testicles in a jar of glitter. And I said, what are you doing? He was like, it's pretty nuts, isn't it? That would have been so good because We Are Nuts guy
was right here.
Yeah, I would.
And then he could have found a way to create a new
glitter nuts.
How about that?
Oh my God, that's not edible glitter nuts. That's not bad.
Coming to the State Fair in 2025.
Reavers, you are the best.
We're kidding, Michael. Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast. It helps other people find the show, and it helps us out a tremendous amount as well, and we really do appreciate it. And our thanks once again to our buddy Michael Burt and the We Are Nuts family for the continued relationship. It's going to be a fun one, that's for sure. And make sure you check us out tomorrow at Back to the 50s live at O'Gara's, starting right around noon as the Garage Logic podcast records the show at O'Gara's tomorrow for Back to the 50s. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so very much for tuning into the Weekly Scramble podcast. We'll talk to you again next time. Until then, cheers.